check the recording. Okay, let's see if somebody's in the waiting room. Okay, nobody's in the waiting room. Let's continue. What is Panama Startups? This is the first time I do it in English, but I'll do it as best as I can. We are the startup community, entrepreneurship community of Panama. Mainly, we do workshops and mentorships and a lot of support for all the startups here in Panama, all the entrepreneurs, not only technology, any kind of entrepreneur. We have the social network where you can find us at Panama Startups and our email, and we have a big database of entrepreneurs that send emails to everybody, not only us. It's a multi-directional service where everybody can send emails to everybody and ask for a service or offer their products or services for entrepreneurs. It's quicker in English, incredible. Okay, and we have our main events every month, which is the mentor workshop, like this one. The main difference is that this is a cycle of workshops, but the main difference is that the people who you are hearing today, they are experts on the subject, but they're also been or are right now entrepreneurs, so they know what's happening, and they will talk about tools and specific things that you can use in your startup to better develop it. So immediate results and not so much about their experience or somebody talking about what they've done or whatever, more about tools that we need. So we have the breakfasts for all the people that come along to all our workshops, and some ask for, and we're very happy to just share with them and see them evolving and tell their businesses, and it makes us very happy. We have around done like 200, a little more than 200 conferences and workshops, and served over like 9,000 people in our workshops, and specific mentorships to around 3,000 people, etc., etc. So, Sadia, I will open the microphone for you so you can talk a little bit about NUAGE to our friends who are here. Give me a second. Let me find you.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. My name is Sadia. I'm very, very excited to be sponsors of Panama Startups and this event. We're going to give you a brief introduction who we are. At NUAGE, we specialize in digital transformation, IT security, and IT management consulting. We have over 20 years of experience in Fortune 100 companies, such as industries like banking, aviation, and government sectors across Canada, US, and Asia. We have some great news to share with you today. NUAGE is currently expanding its operations to Panama. We see immense potential in Panama's growing market. We are very excited and eager to growth of the Panamanian IT development. And as you can see in the call, there is Ashish and Joaquin, who are partners and co-founders. Each have over 25 years experience in IT digital transformation, and their expertise has been the success of NUAGE. We really look forward to sharing about NUAGE services and how we can work together in your companies and your businesses. Please don't hesitate to contact us via email or WhatsApp. We're always available. Thank you.
Yeah, so basically, I just wanted, second what Sadia mentioned about our corporation. We have a large experience in digital transformation, and we are very happy to be in. We just recently opened an office in Panama. Sadia is the chief in that head office. So we're hoping to expand the business and be able to do some more business with you guys. And if you guys need any services with regard to technology, don't forget to give us a call, and hopefully we can, do some inroads in this beautiful city of Panama.
Yeah, and as I said, well, we have some people here from Central America, South America. So since we are in a globalized world now, the services you provide from Canada and also here from Panama will work with them, will work for them. And so I think they have a great team, and they have a lot of experience, and they want to help us do the digital transformation here in the city, where they have seen that we are not like in the jungle. we are pretty advanced. They seen what's happening here in Panama, but still a lot of experience they have. It will help many of us do the digital transformation. Okay, guys, so we keep going. Thank you to the people of NUAGE. And then Soren, who's in a hurry, or he said, are we going to start? He's eager to talk to us. As we said before, we're going to talk with Soren about all the new banking developments that have happened. You can see it as a good thing or a bad thing. Soren will let me unmute Soren. Let's see what he thinks. This constant evolution that we're having right now, it helps us for not being bored, but at the same time, the guys who are doing the technology are always on the edge. So they're always like, what's gonna happen next? What are we gonna do? So I don't know if you agree with me, Soren. Do you like the excitement or what?
I always love the excitement. Hi guys. Let me turn on my video as well. Hey guys.
Hey Soren.
I decided to have my glasses today so I can just look like you. Just a joke aside, thank you so much, Boris, for today. I think this is my third event with Startup Panama. So 2 of them were live in person, and this one is first one in the Zoom. Anyways, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And Boris asked me to just prepare some stuff, but I didn't know where to start because in cryptocurrency, fintech, and neobanking, everything is changing by second. And I thought today we are all here for talk about this dynamic words of fintech, neobanking, cryptocurrency, which all three are forces which are reshaping our financial landscape and our region. When I mention our region, I'm proud to say in 2021, 2 years ago, I became a resident of Panama when we started our corporation in Panama. I'm a US citizen. I'm right now speaking with you guys all from Los Angeles, our office here. And the whole point of this innovation at forefront as a disruptive technology is to empower people who are unbanked or driving financial inclusion and changing or revolutionizing the way we access and utilizing the financial services. Many of you guys here, probably it's the first time we are seeing each other. Beside Tony, which is like the face was familiar, the rest of the people probably it's the first time. And nice to meet you all. I thought the best thing for us was like to share some of the stuff which I've been through and I understood and I shared with many stages and many people for the last couple of months and at least last 12 months. To begin with, I have posted something in my LinkedIn a few days ago or a week ago about the changes of the cryptocurrency and adoption of the cryptocurrency in Latin America, especially in Central America. And I would love to ask you guys to just check it out and let me know what your feedbacks are. And without further ado, I will share something which I prepared and for today. And I'm going to send the link for everyone to download this, or probably after this, I'm going to attach it to the LinkedIn or to this Zoom, and you guys can download that. It's just a simple presentation and has lots of context, which you guys can probably go through it, and which I'm not going to have the time to read it all or just be able to explain it. Or Boris, if you find it better, we can just simply share it with you, and then you can share with everyone all the attendees here. With that said, let me share my screen and perfect. So I started, as you can see here, by move this one to here. And so cryptocurrency adoption, fintech and neobanking in Latin America, unlocking the financial future. You guys can see me, Soren Azorian, CEO of Redline Blockchain. That's my direct email. If you have any question or any kind of thing which you want to know about our company, you're more than happy. I will be more than happy to receive your emails or just message me directly and we go from there. I'm just going to go through this and there we go. All right, I think this is who can help me to get these things rolling. Stopped. There we go. No. Boris, can you just demonstrate this? How to move this from the screen? Okay, I'm just going to leave it here. All right, so fintech and neobanking are revolutionizing the financial landscape of Latin America, bringing about the transformative changes in the way financial services are accessed and utilized. Fintech, with its diverse range of digital solutions, is fostering financial inclusion by providing services to unbanked and underserved population. The whole point is we all were familiar with technology and the finance. And because of the advancement of technology, we put together these two words, finance and technology, became fintech. And then think of a neobanking as a wrapper on the older institution, which majority of the time, the neobanking companies are utilizing custodian of older institutions, or let's say the trust, or some of the financial platforms, which they are connected to neobanking services and providing the new services with a faster technology, more advanced and more customer-centric look for people can share and have their transactions on a matter of the more personal ways compared to the old institutional, which was taking more time. It was a more manual process, and now everything is more digitized and more of the advanced. And as you can see it here, it's just like in the recent years, Latin America has experienced the immersive and unexpected surge in the cryptocurrency adoption. And most of us, we know all, and we're gonna just check it later on this screen. And why this fintech evolution is in Latin America is rapidly growing is because most of the part of the Latin America are either unbanked or underbanked. Taken in the, let's say, consideration, let's say Panama has almost 4 million population, which 700 to 800,000 people are unbanked completely, which are indigenous people, and the people which are on the places which are not closer to city or on their surrounding, there are not much of the financial institution to be able to trade, transfer the information, or transfer the money and the finance to each other. So fintech companies and also cryptocurrencies are allowing this underbanked or unbanked people to be able to come to the new century and be able to trade and buy and sell their goods with the other part of the world and other part of the, let's say, Panama or any other countries on this region. And the impact of these traditional financial services are, which impact on traditional financial services are disruption of traditional financial banks and fast and more efficient way and cost-effective solution. Think of it, you are going to bank Monday through Friday, you have to go to the bank, wait on the line, and then you want to send a simple wire transfer, and that will take you probably 1 or 2 hours, especially with the traffic in Panama. You go to the bank and go to the other bank, and all of a sudden 2 or 3 hours of your life was gone. Right now, you can just log into your neobanking or your online banking services and be able to transfer very efficiently and very fast. And when you are very efficient, very fast, automatically it's cost effective. And that solutions are all which are fundamentals of the building the fintech and the finance and the technology. We're talking about the fintech promoting financial inclusion. Providing digital financial services to previously underserved populations, which we already talked about, indigenous people and the people which they cannot have a bank or access to the credit, banking solutions or payment option. There are many vendors and which they don't have or they didn't have the payment solution. So they want to sell their goods, but they can't. They have to go to traditional banking services and be able to have that services, but they have to be stopped with many phases, and they need to have lots of documents, they have to pay lots of fees. But with this new changes on the fintech and the new services provided by the fintech companies, they will be able to receive the payment faster, be able to expand their offerings to other people, and et cetera, et cetera. And then, innovative solutions for unbanked populations like microlending, which there are many of the small companies already from Panama, which I know they're working and they're helping you to just have the peer-to-peer lending and enabling the access to the credit and investment opportunities for the people which they couldn't do it before. I want to move for the next slide. Neobanking, the future of the banking. I put it over here, but I'm not just going to talk about the future of the banking because as you guys know, neobanking is fully digital banking approach. And the speed of the neobanking probably went faster after the COVID lockdown. And many of you guys, especially in Panama, were in experience of what happened. All of a sudden, we have to stay home. We cannot go anywhere. We have no way to just get our payments. We have no way to do our regular banking, see our clients, et cetera, et cetera. So all this new foundation of the neobanking was rapid after the COVID and the entire changes which we went all through. It's like one of the most important part I would just say is user-centric. It's really focusing on the meeting customer needs and preferences. Let's say many of these neobanking platforms, they are offering the services which you guys need, not the services which you don't need it. If you remember, when you were going to the older institutional websites or their applications, you will see so many other services which you're never going to use it. But the user-centric neobanking services right now allows you to just basically do what you need. And when we are building our platforms, we are making sure the customer needs and preferences are the first place to go. Yeah, and then seamless customer experiences. Very efficiently, you can just basically do the financial services by depositing your checks, sending wire transfer, sending ACH, receiving payment, and they're paying your bills and a lot of other stuff which you can do much faster, much better, and in some cases peer-to-peer without a third-party involvement. Innovative solution like a cutting-edge technology for banking operations. There are stuff which we're going to talk, or Jay going to talk after this, like with the new changes we see that the Fed now, which is making it faster on the transmission and going through the Federal Reserve banks directly. Branchless operations, no physical branches, operation exclusively online. That is one of the big differentiatives of the no banking. Some people are saying, okay, I want to really go to the bank and see it, but that trend is already gone, and everybody right now wants to just do their banking and finance whenever they want, however they want, and on their luxury of the time which they have. Accessibility are providing easy access to banking services via mobile app and web platforms. Cost effective again, lower fees charges compared to traditional banks. Why? Because there's no branches, there's not many of the people. Most of the things are automated. And so automatically the banks or no banks are saving more money, and they can pass that saving to the users instead of basically spending it on the traditional institutions which they are doing. 24/7 availability services. Most of the services, beside let's say wire transfer, I believe, and ACH, are 24/7. You can basically have the peer-to-peer, or let's say if it's a crypto, you can just literally buy, sell, trade in 24/7. And personalized solution, tailor offering individual customer requirement. So let's say if you want to get the loan, or based on your statement, you don't need to just go ahead and wait for 7 days or 2 weeks or 1 month to have all those information. You can have it right on your application and transfer for the parties which require you to share with them your information. And then integration of the fintech, leverages technology to enhance banking process. And moving to synergy of cryptocurrency adoption. So by making the fintech and no banking and changes, what happens automatically? So when you have your banking set up correctly and the fintech and to be able to do the transition through the APIs and integration with the liquidity providers, asset providers, crypto exchanges. So now neobanking or services, just like what we do, they're offering the services for the people to do the on-ramp, off-ramping of the cryptocurrencies, buy it and sell it and trade it. So many people are started adopting for the cryptocurrencies as a way to have a portion of their money or their investments to have a different kind of assets and entire holdings. Right now it's holding not only for fiat, which is the dollar as of for US or Panama as a currency. and or now they can have Bitcoin, they can have all other crypto assets. Adoption rates in Latin America. This is one of the surprising things which I detailedly shared in my LinkedIn. There are more information where you guys can see it. As of 2022 New Payment Index, Latin America claims a remarkable cryptocurrency adoption rate of approximately 51%. On the next slide, you will see why that was the case, but 51% bigger than anyone. Africa, we're hearing every single day Nigeria and other countries are adopting the cryptocurrency, but still Latin America holds #1. North America, Southeast Asia, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Middle East, and the rest of them are way behind adoption rate of the Latin America. Yeah, there we go. So El Salvador, Bitcoin adoption, a game changer. I just put it over here, this slide, because after 2021, I believe it was June of 2021, and which they adopted Bitcoin as their legal tender. That really encouraged lots of people on the neobanking or fintech sector to start integrating with the cryptocurrency services. Started with the Chevo, I believe, and El Salvador, and some of the services they provide with Lightning Network and the Bitcoin only. But that also allowed the other component of the neobanking and services to start approaching to the different kind of adoption rates. And that's overall helped the Latin America, I believe, take that #1 stage in an overall adoption of the this region or entire world. And Panama, Costa Rica. So you guys can see the beautiful Panama FF building over here, and Crate Corp building here, if I'm not mistaken, and some others. But yeah, Costa Rica and Panama have established themselves as pioneers in the Latin America fintech landscape due to the several key reasons. You can see it: regulatory support. Both countries have shown proactive approach toward the fintech regulations, creating framework that promote innovation while ensuring customer protection. We know already there are lots of bills are going through the legal system of the Panama, and some of them are delayed, some of them are still in process, but we'll see what will happen. Hopefully within the next few months or next year or two, we will have a new changes in regulation, which can allow the companies to be able to help the clients and the people who want to just utilize the technology for enhancing and advancing their finances, use the services. Second thing is tech-savvy population. Costa Rica and Panama have a really tech-savvy population with a high internet penetration rates. And you guys can read it later on. And then financial inclusion initiatives, which is really important for financial inclusion of the Costa Rica and Panama, and actively seeing the bringing the banking services to underserved population and the rest of the thing. And entrepreneurial spirit. Today, we are here in this gathering with a Panama startup. Panama startup and Boris are, I believe, one of the points which I saw of firsthand entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurship spirit in Panama. As Boris said, I'm myself an entrepreneur. I go through the on and offs of the life and the journey of our work every single day. And for me, as an entrepreneur, sharing my thoughts and what I'm learning every single day with others, it's one of the core of my existence. And I'm always encouraging anyone, if I can do something for you guys, please reach out. Next, challenges and opportunities. Lack of clarity. So you guys we just talked about the regulation is not clear yet, because one of the challenges are fintech firms and neobanking are navigating legal landscape and compliances with uncertainties. Most of the technology companies, especially in the Silicon Valley, what they have done is they went and start building before the regulation kicks in, and then they start regulating or complying with the regulation when it comes in. When it comes to the cryptocurrencies, fintech, and the technology and finance, most of this playing field is uneven, because traditional financial institutions like banks or trust companies or custodians, they already have their landscape and framework of the regulatory. But for the neobanking and technology companies, they're not much clear path yet, which is these are altogether creating the challenge and also opportunities such as untapped market. Like right now, countries like Panama, Colombia, Guatemala, Honduras, and name it, Ecuador, Costa Rica, most of them are untapped, not only untapped as far as the population of the countries, untapped as connecting their services or the country's goods for the rest of the world. And the neobanking and financial sector and advancement of technology will help them to do that. Collaboration potential. There are lots of partnership because of the fintech firms can be between traditional financial institution and the new financial institution, such as fintech companies or cryptocurrency companies or neobank companies. And then investment attractiveness, which is Latin America's emerging fintech landscape is attracting global investors. Think of right now what happened in El Salvador after they went for Bitcoin. They have opened up their doors to be able to receive big investment money from different kind of countries and different kind of institutions, despite of all the challenges and the regulatory stops they were going through. And yeah, I think that's enough for this slide. And then we go here, future outlook. I would say fintech going to be expanding very rapidly. What we saw for the last 2 to 3 years will be expanding because of the AI and the machine learning, and the new fintechs companies will be able to adopt that fund, and the number of the transaction will go faster by considering the technology moving way faster based on the new changes. Mobile first approach, everything right now, most of us are glued to our mobile phones 24/7, either on the WhatsApp or any of the social media. We chat, we don't talk with each other, we chat with each other, even we are in the proximity of the, like very close. It's sad, but it's a reality of our generation and the new generation, which we're sharing our lives with millennials, Generation Zs, and et cetera, et cetera. And the cryptocurrency integrations, well, I believe adoption will be continue to grow, and the fintech and neobanking platforms, most of them will be integrating cryptocurrency, just like what we did into our Redline platform. And then blockchain applications, cryptocurrency Latin America will witness rise of the adoption of blockchain technology, various sectors such as supply chain, management, healthcare, identity verification. These are all the conversations we were having for the last 2 years in Panama in several different kind of events. I spoke about the identity verification, healthcare, chain management. We talked about the Panama Canal, and then how the blockchain can change this sector entirely. And then the last is a digital identity solution, which right now, I'm sure you guys, most of you guys heard about the WorldCoin and what they're trying to do with the as far as the AR identity solution through the blockchain, and a lot other new future outlook. The rest is, again, with just saying change start with you. Again, start by most of the time when I explain people about the blockchain, if they're brand new, I said always go to a Bitcoin white paper and start reading that. First time, you may not understand it completely. Go second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, until you understand it. Because I believe the brilliant inside of that entire groundbreaking principle, which Satoshi Nakamoto shared with a true Bitcoin white paper, it's a fundamental of many of these changes we've seen for the last 7 to 10 years. And also, of course, by participating in a most engaging spaces like today, and talk with the thought leaders and the people who are participating in this kind of conversation every single day, we all can learn from these changes. And the last is, again, my name is Soren Azorian. I'm CEO of Redline Blockchain. You can email me, you can go to our website, connect with me, and pretty much it. So that's it, Boris. I'm open to any question you guys have. I think it was too much in a fast pace. Well, I'm fast, but I thought this was the fastest I could possibly deliver.
Yeah. Well, the good thing always about our conferences that you gave a little bit for the beginners, a little bit for the intermediates, and a little bit for the advanced. So let's hope everybody everybody's happy with the results. So
I will
we got a
share
couple of
the
questions.
document with everyone later on so they can see it. And then I will encourage you guys to just put some notes in there, share back with me, or on the online, on the forums we are, on the LinkedIn. Let other people to understand and comment. Some of the things which I may share, it will be my point of view. Some of you guys can come in and tell your point of view, and we can all debate and very civil and understand and learn from each other.
Yeah, okay. So here, Tony, one of our geniuses
Hi,
of
Tony.
crypto. I think you know him, Soren.
Yes.
He wants to know about what's happening with the regulations here in Panama. Have you talked to government people? We know the last law was turned down. So how do you see this panning out over here? And I would add in this question, how is your product gonna avoid these regulations or help us here do the business, even if there are regulations or not? So
Yeah, starting with Tony's question. Tony, thank you as always. Great questions. Well, progress. Like progress, I believe at this point when we are seeing a ton of changes on this bear market of the cryptocurrencies, and then lots of banking issues we've seen in the last 3-4 months in the US and also all around the world. I think progress in Panama, it's something which is like, well, we have to really like think of it, how and when will happen. And for a fact, right now I'm talking with many of people which are as a regulators in the Panama and financial scene. I think we are due to changes, but not right now. That's again my opinion. I wish I had this global ball. I can just roll it and tell you guys exactly when will happen. But everybody is like really curious, and they want to make sure we are passing this progress. And I would just say for the maybe next candidate, because again, end of the day, all the conversation going to be end up going to the regulatory bodies, and they have to pass it. In my opinion, probably we're not going to see any changes until start of the 2025, probably first quarter of 2025. I might be wrong. Maybe we can see it at the end of this year. But back to Boris, changes we are, as you know, we started our conversation always 2 years ago, October 2021, when we started in Panama, and you were one of the people who were helping us to just put them together. We started with the self-regulatory and the self-compliance. We have started with the KYC and AML on top of the list for us. So since beginning, we always want to make sure, end of the day, we are passing through every single checkpoints, which is regulators or compliance or compliant of the countries or companies are working with us in this sector. We are, as you guys know, we are onboarding people from US, Panama, Colombia, Guatemala, and a couple more countries. With the news, which is unfortunately one of our custodian trust had an issue in the United States, which we are moving to the new one, which is going to be probably next, I would say 8 weeks or 12 weeks. But we are right now open to our OTC desk, and you guys can communicate with us. We can trade, buy, sell, and anyone can come and communicate and get their job done. But again, what we done before, again and again, is like kind of a self-compliant, self-regulation. And we started, and hopefully with the new laws changing and passing, we will be able to have a better understanding and how to do this better to make sure we are passing on that green lights, especially when we are operating in the countries in Latin America.
Okay, but the question, I'll read the question. The next question, let's just finish with this subject.
I can see it. Could you give
Sorry, let's finish the subject.
Yeah,
I just want you to tell us why the most of the people here right now in crypto, working with cryptos and fintech, more crypto than fintech, because fintech is just flourishing and they're doing different technical things for banks and stuff, so it's going great. But the crypto people are mostly saying like, why? Let's just not regulate. Why? Let's just keep going like we are right now, because we are in a gray zone. and the gray zone lets us work. And now you're giving options like you to be able to and other people are giving options so they can change the crypto to fiat or whatever. So why regulate is the question.
Why regulate? Because you want to advance, because you want to increase the potential of the financial aspect of for the people. You want to regulate because you want to have the bigger money, sovereign money. You want to regulate because you want to have the ETF. You want to regulate because you want to have a much better understanding of cryptocurrency in the entire financial ecosystem. Why regulate? Because we believe on the frictionless financial, right? So I think the regulator or not regulation is not a question. Some of us, like when we are talking about the crypto natives, and especially Bitcoin core crowd, they always want to have that peer-to-peer transaction of understanding. But that is just between probably few thousand people, few hundred people in Panama, which we all know them, right? So you just cannot have a trade desk with, let's say, Dubai, Singapore, Malaysia, South Africa, all other countries, and you want to have no person behind of that transaction. So if you want to have no regulation, it means you just want to do whatever you want. When was the last time we passing two countries and we were not showing our passport? When was the last time we were passing to the, let's say, border and we were saying, you know what, hey, Boris, just go and do whatever you want and just go back to your country whenever you want. So regulation, and I think the regulation is the majority of the things. I'm not worried about the regulation, and I don't know why this conversation is, but I believe we have lots of great lawyers. And I want to escape this question because it just goes to a place which is like, I'm not an attorney to just tell you why and what. Maybe Jay can help later on this one, but let me postpone that question because for me, it's like kind of, we are self-regulated and self-compliant company, and we are trying to just stay on that level. And if some people are not wanting to do it, I cannot help, unfortunately.
Okay, so let's keep reading because I think Jay's.
Could you give an example
eager
of
to, Jay's eager to come in, so.
Example, experience with Venezuelan crypto as a legal frame? No, I don't. Unfortunately, Venezuela is one of the countries which is on the sanction list, even though I know lots of great people from Venezuela living and working in Panama, but I have no information about Venezuela. Danielle asking, what do you think could be the most effective of the path to reach US market from Central America? Daniel, if you can ask me a question more narrowed, like, is it because of your company, because you're offering? Are you in technology? Are you offering services?
Yeah, Daniel is doing programming and doing like he does a lot of integration for banks, for their apps, and to work with the stuff like that. And he's already working in several Latin countries from Panama for programming and integration with like fiscal things for banks and whatever.
Daniel, I would just suggest, like, after this, just shoot me an email or go to my LinkedIn and message me. I want to make sure I understand exactly what your offerings are, and based on that, I can give you my 2 cents and my opinion. But if you're thinking of, let's say, reaching the US market from Central America, I would just wait for a second and think of, why would you want to reach to US market? Because of the financial aspect of it, because there are so many countries and the companies in those countries in the Central America, they need experts just like you, if you're in the tech and technology, to be able to get better. So I believe, take a look at your back home and see what is first happening. If you're in Panama, if you're other countries, then take a look at the United States. But again, as I said, send me a message. I will be more than happy to take a look at it, where you're standing, and we go from there. I will be more than happy to help you. Una pregunta le Cristo en Panama cuando la activa.
He asked about the law again, and I told him you said 225.
Yeah, so.
Yeah,
and,
okay. So I think that's great, and I would drill you a little more, but you don't like my crazy questions, Soren. So put you against.
No, I love to. Tell me if you have more questions I can answer. I'll be more than happy.
That's why you cannot put this wall behind you, because then we pit you against the wall.
No, it's okay. It's just a regular wall. So
anyway, thank you for sharing and for being with us. I know you were like crazy busy, and putting this product, like this dream of yours, and always glad to receive you. And we want very good news so we can tell all the people here who are waiting for these options on neobanking that you're bringing, and any help we can give you, always welcome. Now, here in Panama, you're always welcome for everybody.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Soren.
Bye.
So Jay, let me put your presentation quickly so everybody knows who you are, and then give me a sec, because
now everybody is in big trouble.
Who's in trouble?
Well, while I'm unmuted, then you know me, I don't stop. So
yeah, here's your presentation, so you can add something if you want or whatever, and then you can share your whatever if you're gonna share something, and perfect, no problem.
yeah, can I share my screen? That's great.
Yeah,
I can't do it while you're doing it. So
yeah, okay.
That's
so
a great that's a great picture. I was a year younger then, and I look fantastic. So what can I say? That's I wish I looked like that now.
Photoshop, just do it.
Photoshop is
AI will help you.
AI. Maybe you can show me.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing now. You can share whatever.
Yeah, so I can share. Fantastic. So first of all, let's see if this does it the correct way. Fantastic. So Boris, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I haven't seen you in some time, and just to give everybody just a little bit of background. So I run an investment firm in the United States, and we're spending almost 75% of our time right now. We're risk managers, but we're really focused on blockchain and really investing a lot of capital in this area, and starting to manage institutional capital in this area. By background, I've been at the major firms. I worked at Merrill, I worked at Morgan Stanley, I worked at UBS. I started Blue Square in 2018. And it's been a really unbelievable journey. I've spent a lot of time in Latin America. I've been in El Salvador a number of times. I've been to Guatemala a number of times. I'm actually going to be at the Volcano Summit in, I think it's late September. I don't know if anyone on the call is going to be there, but if you are, it's a fantastic conference, and you should definitely come up to me and introduce yourself if you're there. So having said that, when Boris asked me to speak with you, I thought what I would do is give you just an update on what we're seeing in the crypto trends in general, and then just share with you and answer any questions, because I think that blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, we can go down the line, but it's a massive wave that is here, and it is to stay. And so I encourage each and every one of you, because it's a global platform, and I encourage each and every one of you to really just think differently about this and approach it. And we could talk about, Latin America, US, Asia, but I think that the blockchain is going to bring the world together in lots of really interesting ways. And I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. So having said that, I just want to say just one high level thing. Our largest and most prominent fund is a risk managed Bitcoin fund. And the reason I say that is because, one, anytime I do one of these conferences and they're being recorded, I just want to say that we're not soliciting anybody on the call, and that if anybody has any interest in working with us, there's all sorts of legal documents and things like that need to be reviewed. And so anything that I'm saying on the call today is my personal opinion. I tried to share, I get lots of access to lots of very interesting information. So when I do these sorts of things and they're boutique-y like this is, I try to take some of the best thinking of not only my own, but from other people that I have the opportunity to hear from and speak with. And so hopefully this will be really helpful for you. And I'm happy to answer any questions and be a resource, as possible. So the first thing I'll say is that we've all experienced this, whether it's from an investment standpoint or from a business standpoint, that, and I use, if you take a look at the chart here, the cryptocurrency markets, clearly when, and just, this is just the market cap of the crypto industry versus in black, the volumes that are going on the exchanges at any point in time. And clearly when the markets are going up, business is easier from an investment standpoint versus the bear markets. And, you know, you can very clearly see the correlation between market cap and market flows in this chart. But what's really being demonstrated here is the investor psychology. And this is relevant both from an investment standpoint, meaning being an investor like I am, investing in different digital assets, but also from a business and an entrepreneur standpoint of growing a business, which is, I'm doing the same thing that all of you are doing. We're all building, you know, businesses and leveraging early adoption in crypto. And so we need to just always take a step back and remember that the internet is turning 50. And blockchain is still very early in its infancy. And now is the time to invest. And now is the time to build companies. And we'll experience many boom and bust cycles along the way. But the opportunity is extremely large, in my opinion. And as I said to you before, it's global. So, you know, strap on, be prepared for the ride, and take advantage of it. And don't let the emotional roller coaster of the markets prevent you from, you know, putting your head down and building fantastic businesses. I heard before that, I apologize, Soren, I think Soren was speaking before, and you were talking about the regulation. And I don't know much about regulation in Panama, but what I do know is that the regulatory framework in the United States, there's a tremendous amount of uncertainty. However, the framework around the world, some countries have been very aggressive. Many have just taken a sort of laissez-faire attitude, but in the US, some agencies have been progressive in identifying, you know, digital assets as property. I would say really most agencies have taken that stance, while the SEC has been very slow to fully spell out what is a security. Bitcoin, they've been very clear about being a commodity, a digital commodity. But so far as what's a security, what isn't, an investment contract, this is still being worked out. And so, you know, I think I saw these comments that Jay Clayton made at a Bloomberg conference. And I just think, you know, just if you look at highlighting in red, you know, the use of blockchain technology and all sorts of aspects of our financial system should not be controversial. And I apologize for this little typo here, but it's not as if the technology failed or the technology had sort of fundamental problem. This is a big issue. A lot of people who don't understand when they look at what happened with FTX and Binance, it's clearly reprehensible. It's clearly, you know, poor behavior, and I'll talk about it a little bit more. But the blockchains all worked well, you know, and so we know the blockchain isn't likely going to be going away, and we do need to update our technology stack in the financial system. And so these are just core concepts that I think about from an investment standpoint, and from a regulatory standpoint will eventually get worked out in the United States. I'm certain of that. And I think from a Latin American standpoint, from a non-US standpoint, and from Panama standpoint, and you know, from all different regions, if we look at how different blockchain is from the rest of the internet, we see as the final pieces, you know, blockchain is really the final piece of the internet in a sense. And in the United States, from a regulatory standpoint, the internet companies were really encouraged. And if you look at a comparison here of the internet companies versus the blockchain protocols, and which are based in the United States and what their market cap is versus what's based in the US and their market cap for blockchain protocols, you can see how different it is. And so the regulatory framework in the United States has really pushed and moved a lot of assets offshore. And we'll see how that progresses over the next 5 years or so. We may see this change a bit, and we're certainly going to see a lot of consolidation in the digital and crypto asset space, where there are some 20,000 some odd crypto assets right now, and we're going to go through a massive wave of consolidation. But I just really think that the U.S. presence in the internet versus the blockchain is it's really very obvious, and so I think this is a big issue for the U.S. and a tremendous opportunity for the rest of the world from a technological standpoint. I was saying this before, but the blockchain resilience in the face of everything that's gone on, both from a macro standpoint and from the disasters that have occurred, have really been impressive. If we look at FTX, Frank Bankman-Fried, clearly he tried to steal from 5 million people or so, and so that was a criminal enterprise. The other issues that we've had in the industry were more of a leverage blow up sort of events. But now we're over a year out. We've had some good things. I think the Ethereum upgrade, real time and having it work was a really productive thing. I think the regional bank blowups in the United States, while unfortunate, the banking system in the U.S. is an oddity. It's sort of very poorly designed, and I do think, and I think Soren was mentioning this, that in the long run, especially the younger people, the younger generation, but also there's so many people who are unbanked across the world who will now be able to become banked, and will have greater financial inclusion globally. But in the long run, people will transition, in my opinion, to things like stable coins, and we'll actually see individuals themselves becoming banks. So I think that's a really interesting thing. But as we look at this and we think about it, and Soren did touch upon this, that we've sort of transitioned over time from this social banking system to the current institutional banking system. And we're headed towards a trustless banking system. So we have to move past honesty and community enforced. And presently we're in the trust but verify stage. And the future is going to be complete transparency. And the impact of this is hard to get our heads around, but it's very, very large. I think the other thing is that as we went through all the problems with all the blow-ups and the bear market and all of these issues that happened over the last year, I think this will be looked on as a very productive period for the blockchain, because DeFi worked great. And so if we look at the protocols, and the trust isn't necessary for DeFi, and but it's inherent to the centralized finance system. I just think as we progress, this idea of centralized entities and how they continue to mismanage things is going to continue to force things onto the transparency and the blockchain. And I think as we think this through and we go to what Bitcoin's original thesis was, and as we all know, that was the birth of all of the blockchains. But the original block was about the bailouts of the banks. And it's really incredible as we keep going through different financial crises. And I think the bank blowups that we had in the US were a bit overblown in a sense, although once again, the US government stepped in and backed everybody. But it's just very obvious, in my opinion, but to me, that soon everyone with a smartphone will be using the blockchain, and the point someone asked before about how do we access the American markets, or so on and so forth, the tremendous opportunity about blockchains in general is that it's just a truly global opportunity. And so I think that's the highest level issue. When we look at the markets in general, and again, I think this is just a really interesting thought process that historically we all know about the outperformance, but if we look at the returns prior to the money printing as well as year to date, we continue to see the outperformance. And so we see this continuing. And as this continues, and as non-correlation continues to demonstrate itself, there were periods of time when assets become correlated, periods of time when they're non-correlated, but crypto assets, digital assets in general, have had historically significant performance and have been non-correlated to other assets. And that non-correlation in the first half of this year has returned. And I think I'll talk about it a little bit more, but I think this is one of the reasons we're going to see from an investment standpoint a significant wave of institutional adoption in this ecosystem. The other thing I'd just like to point out is that from a fundamental standpoint, if we look at the 3 past cycles, we really see the growth of the ecosystem in terms of both market capitalization. We look at the active developers. I mean, there's been significant growth in this cycle, and I think that there's many platforms or applications, or software that is being developed to make it easy for developers to develop on blockchains. And so I think that's going to be, I think that'll continue quite aggressively. You know, we've seen Bitcoin being used as a store of value for payments. Now we see it for ordinals, for NFTs. You know, Ethereum has been the operating system for smart contracts. Number of wallets increasing as more users continue to adopt. We'll see if that winds up, some of that activity winds up transitioning over to Bitcoin or not. But right now, clearly, Ethereum is the operating system for smart contracts. If you look at the decentralized finance ecosystem, which spans across many blockchains, you know, we're starting to see that have, obviously, since the last cycle, significant growth. Same thing with stablecoin AUM. Same thing in this last cycle with DeFi, the total value locked, and this includes like lending and borrowing and staking and derivatives and all of these things. So, and also the same thing, by the way, with the decentralized exchange volumes. So these are all extremely positive. When you take a big step back, and unfortunately in this industry, it's very boom or bust. So we all get very caught in. So I think it's really good to take a, zoom out and take a big picture look at what's going on. I think one of the most interesting things I've seen of late is this sort of concept of TradFi meets DeFi, and I think we'll eventually head to just Fi. But traditional finance is going to continue to use the blockchain, in my opinion, and a lot has been around to date. Custody, prime brokerage, trading. Clearly, the announcement of both Fidelity, but more importantly, BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, of the spot Bitcoin ETF is just enormous for the space, because it just speaks to the massive institutional demand that exists, that doesn't want to currently doesn't understand or have the ability to invest in the ecosystem without an ETF or some sort of traditional asset to invest through. So I just want to emphasize also, as I said to you before, we're seeing a lot of activity outside of the US. A lot of traditional finance is getting into crypto, and probably at a quicker pace depending on the region and the regulations. But it's fast and furious. I was on speaking at a event the other day with it was a Bitcoin focused event, but it was sponsored through the Paris blockchain, and we were talking about institutional adoption, and what's going on is just really very, very exciting, and I think it'll be very helpful for everyone's business. I didn't put any slides in here about this, but I wanted to talk about one last thing, and then I'll answer any questions, is that what's going on from a blockchain infrastructure standpoint is that we're seeing a lot of the work moving from layer 1 to scaling out layer 2 applications. And we're seeing it across a large number of verticals, and also blockchains. So the first area we're seeing growth is in decentralized finance, really just protocols that enable open access to different financial products. There are a host of consumer applications, decentralized applications, that are really doing very interesting things and removing intermediaries and costs, making things much less expensive. We're seeing a lot of blockchain infrastructure being built out. Institutional staking, payments, gaming, NFT gaming in the metaverse is a really big area. And of course, we're still seeing a lot of sort of what we call like picks and shovels, where companies and services are bringing users into the ecosystem. So there's just a wide range of verticals where there's investment going on. And I think that identifying the different use cases and then working and leveraging the different blockchains that are either low cost, quick time to market. I know a lot of them have, through their foundations, are supporting startups to build on their platforms. I don't know what you guys have been doing from that standpoint, or where you have access to that ecosystem, but I know that is a very vibrant ecosystem that is global in nature. And I just see a tremendous amount of opportunity for applications to be built to make the blockchains ubiquitous, right? They're all, technology adoption has been around for forever, right? So faster, cheaper, easier to use. And so faster and cheaper, the blockchain is there. But easier to use, this is where in the industry that I'm in, from the investment standpoint, we need to meet people where they are. But from a technological adoption standpoint, whether it's financial services or other industries that are currently starting to integrate blockchain, or use cases that we haven't even thought of, it's all going to be about the applications being ubiquitous. Today, the internet is involved in everything that we do, and we take it for granted. And in 20 or 30 years, that's where the blockchains will be. And right now there's a big there's a lot of experimentation going on, and there's a lot of base layer development going on, and I think that's going to consolidate aggressively. And then we're going to see a lot more effort going into layer 2, layer 3, and layer 4 protocols and applications. So happy to take any questions, or happy to have any sort of dialogue that would be useful for anybody.
I think we have a couple of interesting questions, Jay. Of course, you nailed it exactly what I wanted you to talk about. Mostly this, like the last slide. I'm not a finance guy, but I think most of the people here are, and they enjoyed it a lot. This slide is great. And let's see what Jonathan always has interesting questions. Let me see. Have you ever seen a company use blockchain and crypto to finance a project? Non-public company. Non-public.
Say to me again.
Have you ever seen a non-public company use blockchain and crypto, or probably crypto to finance a project? I think Soren is raising his hand because he want to say his project uses blockchain. And
Soren, did you want to add in something?
let me see, I gotta unmute him. I have to unmute. Wait. Well, I have to unmute. Okay, there you go.
There we go. Hi, Jade. Thanks for all
Hey.
the information. Hey,
Glad to be helpful.
it was very beautiful, actually put together nicely. I think I got Jonathan's message. Jonathan, I think you're asking for raising money for your project. Before all this craziness of the market happened, we had this trend of the ICOs, which people were raising money based on the token offerings. That is already built up indifferently. There are many projects right now, they're using blockchain through the institutional financial companies to raise the money for the projects in hand. Right now, I'm involved with one of them, which is raising through NFTs in Panama and building the rainforest and blue carbon initiatives through NFTs in Panama. So if you have questions or if you want to know more about that, just message me later on. I will put you guys together so you guys can have a.
Soren, is that
questions.
company called Plastiques by any chance?
No, it's not. It's called interesting, right? Just like company name. It's one of our friends, Max, and it called Blue Forest, the project, and they are probably going to open it in the next, I would say, 60 days.
You should have him look at a company called Plastiques. I believe it's PLASTIKS.io, who's doing something very, very similar, but for
plastics.
but for the cleaning plastic from the oceans. And it all
Actually,
has to do with,
I remember that now. Yeah, I heard about it.
it has to do with validating that the money that's oftentimes companies will say we're giving 5% to the environment or 5% to cleaning plastics or what have you. And this ESG is a very big trend. So using the blockchain to actually guarantee that not only the money that was going to be allotted towards the project was allotted, but that the project actually got done. So validating that, especially when a lot of the projects in this area are happening in emerging markets or places where it's not always so easy to validate. So having that intermediary and being able to do it on the block so that you can validate, so that the payment only occurs when the validation of the removal or what have you was done. And so they'll also have a very interesting commercial application. I think they just launched with the deal with our FC Barcelona, because so they have an interesting front end engine that's you can allow your consumers to choose the project that they want to sponsor. So in any event, I would just say take a look at it and maybe share it with your friends.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I'm not in liberty of telling more about the Blue Forest project, but with the full transparency, I will be one of their advisors and going forward with them. And I'm trying to help this beautiful project. It's a very nice project in the Atlantic side of the Panama. And it's a huge, I believe it's thousands of acres of land, which is owned and operated by the corporation, which they are moving the assets to the custody of the project. And then from there, they can issue their NFTs. And it is a very nice project, which.
So the reason I was saying it is the people who run this other company I'm aware of, and it's a pretty big organization. So if it could be of assistance at all and an introduction.
We're definitely going to connect after this, absolutely.
They're a different industry and a different vertical, and so maybe there's something that can be gleaned from it. But I think if you go on the website, you get the gist. And if there's anything that could be helpful, that would be great. And I just wanted to circle back. I forgot who asked the question, but I would go back to if you're building a business on a blockchain, and all of these foundations are supporting the developers who are building on their blockchains. And I don't mean every project, but I would go there and then You know, it's interesting. In the United States, there's an exchange called INX, which is actually doing exactly what you said. And it's not appropriate necessarily unless it's a bigger project. But this is the issue that we're having in the United States right now, that all of this capital was being raised. And in the US, we have regulations for when a company raises capital for, it's an investment contract, right? And so many companies were raising capital. And we all know that of the 22,000 blockchains that were created and all the various projects that were done on top of them, that I'd probably eventually guess it's 80-20, right? Like, you know, 20% of them are earnest, unbelievable efforts, and another large amount of them were sort of quasi money grabs, even though there was some business objective behind them. And then there's some amount of them, who knows, that were just fraudulent. So
I think
you know,
also
we've got
Jonathan is doing the question because he's in real estate, and what we are seeing a lot here, we are seeing it maybe coming more from Europe. It's like tokenization of real estate projects, and then
huge.
many of them, who knows if they work or not, or if they are real or not real or whatever, but they are doing it. Here in Panama, we have a project already that is tokenizing for like an invest to be able to build or to sell properties that they haven't sold. They tokenize it, and this is happening in Spain, more coming from Spain to here to Panama. So I think Jonathan is talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, again, from an application standpoint, I think the entire physical world, anything that is of significance, will be tokenized and will be on the blockchain. And you know, whether that'll be on Ethereum or Bitcoin or some other place, I'm more of the mindset that if it's of real significant value, it might wind up actually eventually onto the Bitcoin blockchain. But nonetheless, that doesn't mean that I could be totally wrong. We'll just have to see how that ecosystem plays out. We're so early. I like to tell people that I don't know what it was like in Panama, but in the United States, we had Netscape and AOL fighting it out in the early days of the internet. This was like 1995, 1996, 1997. We had all these CDs that were being mailed out to people. And we haven't even had the Netscape AOL moment yet in crypto. That's how early we still are, like 1995 in the internet. I know people like to say that we're greater than that, but I don't think it. I see about 0.5% of the world is currently adopting in some way, shape, or form, and I don't think businesses have any idea how to utilize it yet. I think people are starting to experiment with it in a similar fashion to what's happened with AI, but it's so early in the game. And so any work that anyone's doing in this area, and even if this project doesn't work and you wind up developing 2 or 3 new ones, the great thing is that if you're working on, let's say, using before real estate and tokenizing real estate in some way, either through ownership with the government or so many different ways that you can utilize the blockchain for real estate.
Let's read the other questions, because then
Boris, I can continue with that. Is there are several projects right now beside the one I referred. There is another one called Smart City in Panama.
Yeah, that one.
They are already tokenized, and the people are already utilizing their tokens, so they can use all those blueprints to be able to see it. And then most of us are here on this gatherings, so reach out and let's just, like, if you have a question more in details, or you have a plans, or you have a, let's say, observation you want to share with us, I'll be more than happy to take a look at it.
Yeah. Let's read the other question that I didn't understand it, so you probably understand it. For those of us who want to break into the area of IB or investment from a blockchain and crypto friendly perspective in Latin America, what do you recommend? Well, he added that Panama has a lot of technology, but people are putting their companies in the Cayman Islands. But that's another question, Jose, because that's like tax related issues, and like people put the company in Panama because they like Panama, but the main legal stuff is done in Cayman. So, like an example, just we can be anywhere, Delaware, whatever, just for the taxes.
And not only taxes, whereas to continue regulatory environment over there is much easier. Easy incorporations, like compared to Panama. So I have a corporation in Panama, already. So they're going through this paperwork, and the entire thing is literally sometimes mind-blowing. It just so much stops you have to pass through. And then I believe Jose, there is an investor confidence because Cayman Island is the asset protection island for many objects or many subjects or many institutional companies or many of the startups. And then I think the privacy and the confidentiality of the business and information is the key for Cayman Island compared to the rest of the countries, especially Panama.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we got
Boris,
a question from
Boris,
Carlos.
maybe,
Yeah.
can I make a suggestion? Maybe
Yeah,
you should
yeah.
have maybe you should have an attorney come on next time to talk about
Yes, that would be
People are
awesome.
interested in formation of corporate entities. I mean, it's very important. And
Yeah, we usually have like the lawyer of the blockchain chamber of commerce, but really that usually the like we talked before, it hasn't moved a lot, and we already like discussed it a lot of times. So this like today was like a new thing, but anyways, yeah, we
You can
definitely
ask Janice to share next time. Janice can join the conversation.
yeah, of course, yeah, we can have her for questions.
Yeah.
Have her on backup for questions. Because
Yeah.
the thing is, like we had the crypto revolution like the last year, and it hasn't moved because the law wasn't approved. So nothing has happened yet in that matter. They've been doing a lot of tries, but nothing has really crystallized or whatever. So Carlos says, since we're talking about DeFi and we talk about DeFi, but there's only a few crypto brokers that control almost all the crypto transactions globally. Binance, Coinbase, etc. You think this is going to change in the near future?
Jay?
So, I mean, I'm spending a lot of time on this right now. I've been launching, about to launch a new business that's going to be what we call a TAMP, turnkey asset management platform. And there's a lot of in the United States, and I think around the country, around the globe, excuse me, there are a lot of companies that are what I would call over the counter, like IBEX. You guys have had Latin America. If you buy Bitcoin, IBEX is a good one. I don't know who the other ones are, but first of all, I know there are exchanges, but there are a tremendous number of institutional over the counter. So we're doing a lot of business institutions to institutions that is not captured on exchange. And I think what's going to wind up happening, at least in the United States, globally is a separate issue, but I think it's the same thing, is go back to the slide that I was showing before on TradFi, meaning that all the traditional financial institutions are getting into the business aggressively. It's just a matter of and I don't know that that's a good thing or a bad thing, by the way, because they're also fighting to keep their legacy profit margins intact, and that's all going to get disrupted. So eventually what's going to happen here is that decentralization is going to take over, and you're going to have decentralized exchanges, and we're going to be able to interact to a greater extent peer-to-peer. But that's a 15 to 20 year time frame, and you'll see a gradual wave and then a flood of the traditional financial players coming into the space. And I think actually, whether it's the next bear market or the bear market after that, depending on when the traditional players really get in, you didn't hear it here, but I think Celsius had $1.5 billion hole in their balance sheet. I didn't look last, but I think UBS has about $100 billion market cap, maybe bigger. I pick on UBS only because their size. I wouldn't be surprised if when TradFi companies, the traditional financial world, gets involved and starts doing all kinds of crazy stuff, if we don't see someone blow up with $150 billion hole in their balance sheet, and then that's bigger than their entire market cap. So, we're going to go through boom and bust cycles, but where we're headed long term is very, very obvious. And it's to a decentralized world, it's to a global platform. And I still think that traditional finance will adopt. And this should mean lower costs, greater transparency. And so to answer your question, I think these exchanges, these are all short-term things. The landscape 4 years from now will look very different than the landscape looks now. And I think these companies will still be a significant part of it. But once the traditional players step in, they have significant amounts of capital, and they will very quickly, you'll see the ecosystem evolve. But I think eventually it'll evolve to a decentralized state.
Okay, so the last question I think we have around here, and we'll like right on time. It's perfect. Why to invest in this type of financial instruments like the Bitcoin ETF compared to investing in a SP 500 ETF with lower fees and less volatility?
All right, so this is a great question for you to ask. So first of all, what I do professionally is risk manage. So we can basically, my experience is only 20 years, but I feel like I can basically take any asset and whatever its max drawdown is, we try to reduce it by at least 50%. So if Bitcoin goes down 90%, we want to be down 45 or less. Now, 45 or less, if the S&P were to crater, then the S&P would go down 50 to 60%, right? That's historically. So if we can get Bitcoin's return or something close to it, which I believe, and same thing when you look at some of the other major projects, will be significantly greater than what the S&P is. This is why you're seeing significant institutional demand. So ETFs for Bitcoin are going to drive significant adoption because you have large institutions that don't understand how to and don't have the framework in place from their investment policy statements to invest in digital assets directly. That's why funds like mine exist, and that's why traditional products are being born. Having said that, because the return prospects are so much greater, and because they are non-correlated to traditional assets, institutions, of course, like to have returns, and they get greater diversification with non-correlated assets. However, while the ETFs, like I said about decentralization, this is all my opinion, but while the ETFs will drive a significant wave of adoption because it will be easy for people to buy Bitcoin and then Ethereum and whatever, they will then realize that they own paper Bitcoin. And they will then realize that they want to own the underlying asset and not just get a return stream that's tied to the asset. And so there was if you guys go on Twitter, it's very easy to find. BlackRock did a asset allocation study, and I don't know if any of you saw it, but this is like 2 weeks ago. It was leaked, quote unquote, but it was from 2022 when they wrote the white paper. And they said if you had a 60-40 portfolio, 60% stocks, 40% bonds, and you added Bitcoin to the mix, what would the optimal asset allocation be? And they came back and said, and this is totally unrealistic, but they came back and said 85% Bitcoin and 15% stocks and bonds. Now, what was most interesting to me wasn't that answer. What was most interesting to me was the efficient frontier that was created, where the most conservative investor, it was recommended, at least in this white paper, it's not what they're recommending to clients, was that they should have a 20% asset allocation to Bitcoin. So now we all know that, or it's been my experience, and that's almost 30 years, that clients are not going to be comfortable with a 80 or 90% drawdown on 85% of their assets, or institutions, no less 20% of their assets. So what we're trying to do at Blue Square, most people will say, hey, I'll take a 1 to 2% allocation because if I lose it, I could lose 1 to 2% of my money any day. And the growth prospects are so great. And by hopefully reducing the drawdown significantly, we can then get them to a position where they could have a 5 to 15% allocation and not really have a greater risk profile than what they have in their equities. And so that they can benefit from greater long-term growth without assuming the risk. And I'll say one last thing about this point. I saw something the other day, and my numbers might be off slightly and what have you, but I think Amazon's been a public company 30 plus years. I think every year it's been down greater than 20%. I saw something that it was down 50% or more, something like 10 times, and down 90% or more 2 or 3 times. And yet there's only been like 5 or 6 people that have publicly said that they've held it the entire time and gotten like that, whatever the trillion, percent return has been in Amazon, right? So the point of the whole thing is that the volatility in the asset is really for the whole ecosystem it's just so new, and it's all going through price discovery, and the markets are so thin for all of these assets. And so understanding which assets to invest in right now is still very, very difficult, because even when the internet came around, there were only 10 companies or so that got the majority of the market cap value from the internet. So the reason at Blue Square that we're primarily invested only in Bitcoin right now is because from a regulatory standpoint, it's the only one that has regulatory clarity in the United States. And secondarily, because we still don't fully understand yet what the other protocols are that will actually be around in the long term. As that clarity develops, we'll start to get more and more into the other base layer protocols. And I don't know how many of them will wind up actually existing. Will it be a world where there are 7 or 8 or 9 of them? Will it be a world where there are more? Will it be a world where there are only 2 or 3 of them? And it's really these layer 2 and layer 3 protocols and applications that create, additional value. We just don't know yet. And so I hope that was helpful. It was a bit rambling, but the big question or the big answer is that you shouldn't invest in a Bitcoin ETF entirely, and you shouldn't invest once it's available and in the US or outside, and you shouldn't invest entirely in the S&P 500 in ETF. But the return characteristics are going to be very different. And so, that's what we're trying to do, is reduce the volatility.
I have a tough question for you, Jay, not solely related to crypto, but I gotta get it off my chest, and let's see if you can give me a quick answer.
Sure.
I want to talk about the dollar. The dollar is under attack, like from every side you can think of. The printing, overprinting, the devaluation, inflation. The dollar is going and it's not going anywhere just because the other currencies are worse. Who knows? Obviously, the crypto is another attack on the dollar. My question for you is, what is the outlook on the dollar? Not on the paper, but what's going to happen? Do you see any outcome where the dollar could disappear or be killed by somebody, like definitely or whatever?
Okay, so I'm going to share something with you, and hopefully you're not publishing this in too big of an area, or no one's, whatever. So here's the US dollar index, and this is actually not a good picture of it. Hold on one second. It's like I can't get it any smaller than this for some reason on the screen, but the dollar right now is in a downtrend, and it's probably going to trade down to this. I don't know if you guys can see it, this area over here, which is another, if you're asking my opinion, another 10% or so. And if we look back in time, your point about the dollar and it having weakness of late is true, because we printed so much money and we can't sustain. So the debasement of the dollar is no different than the debasement of the euro, the debasement of every global currency. We are in a massive credit bubble, and when every financial crisis hits, or every economic crisis hits, or there are none of the major global currencies that the countries can actually sustain the amount of debt that they have based on their GDP, which is why we have 2% inflation as a target. It makes absolutely no sense when everything technology keeps making everything cheaper that we target a 2% inflation rate. And yet in the United States over the last 20, 30, 40 years, the average amount of money printing we've been doing annualized is about 7%. So that's really the denominator, right, is the currency. If we keep increasing the currency, why is the amount of currency in circulation, in the United States anyway, why does milk cost more? It's not because milk costs more, it's because the dollar is worth less. Right. And if we look over a very long-term trend, the dollar has depreciated significantly, the buying power of the dollar, because we just printed more. And so now to answer your question, by far and away, the dollar is the least dirty shirt in the laundry bin. And when we talk about like China taking over and their currency taking over, the majority of global currencies, one way or another, are pegged to the dollar anyway. And there's something like 88% of global finance is done based on the dollar. So the idea that we're going to get off a dollar standard anytime soon, I think is not true. Having said that, I do think that we are headed in an era of where in the second half of this decade, my opinion, we've seen an unbelievable rally in equity markets, and I actually do think that is going to continue for the next 2 or 3 years. I actually think people don't believe it, but when you rally as much as we have, and you're as close to all-time highs across the board, and you see breakouts in the German equity market and in Europe that haven't happened for 15 or 16 years, the charts don't lie. So the charts are telling you that the markets are going higher. By the way, my opinion can change at any time, but that's what the charts are telling me. Having said that,
Don't
let me be
quote
very
me.
specific.
Don't quote me on that.
Wait, let me be very specific. Well, my opinion can change at any time, but let me be very, very specific about this. I think towards the second half of this decade, we're going to start paying the price for the printing and the debt and all this that we are doing globally. This is not a US phenomenon. This is a global phenomenon.
So better start buying real estate.
What I do think, say again?
Better start buying some real estate, some real stuff.
Yeah, well, I think scarce assets are going to do maybe not today, but towards the back half of the decade, I think scarce assets are going to start to have significantly outperform as a result of that. But we'll just need to see what happens and monitor it. I wonder about real estate, quite frankly, because I think real estate is an extremely overvalued asset, because I don't know what happens in Panama, you can tell me, but in the US, it's the only asset that you can leverage 5 to 1. And if the asset goes down, as long as you keep paying your mortgage payment, there's no capital call, right? So it's set up, they're setting it up to prop it up by giving you 5 to 1 leverage. But the
There's
market has
similarities
gotten,
in the Panama too. Panama is
yeah,
the
but
same
the
way.
market, yeah, but the
Soren wants
market's
to-
gotten so
Soren wants to
expensive.
sell red coins. So
No,
that's the new currency in the world, red coins.
Red
no,
coins.
actually,
Getting it, Jay.
no.
Getting it today.
No.
Yeah, you were. Someone was asking about the world coin from AI.
Yes.
And I don't think it's going to be. My personal opinion. I don't
Well,
think it's going to be.
let's get a last question in because it's almost 8 o'clock. Jack,
Yep.
from our friend Jack, would you recommend investing blockchain instead of specifically in cryptocurrencies? So it would be probably companies, blockchain companies, I guess.
I will just quickly take on this one, and Jake, you can continue. I think you guys are all entrepreneurs. Would you invest in yourself or invest in other people? Probably you, right? So to compare blockchain to cryptocurrency is, why wouldn't you want to invest in the fundamentals than the second layers or on the higher level? Let's say cryptocurrency, like we're talking about WorldCoin, we're talking about all other altcoins which is out there. So beside, I believe, the Bitcoin, which is like really scarce, the rest of them can be changed. They're all mainly provided by the smart contracts or the changes of the regulations and compliance and everything else. So if you're investing in blockchain, make sure you're investing in the technology of the blockchain on the companies which are facilitating and making it the life easier for people, for companies, for any of the sectors, financial, medical, identities, and the cross-border payments, and et cetera, and there are many of them. My opinion, or what I do is like, yes, invest on a blockchain, but before investing in anything, you should be understanding the technology from the top to bottom, bottom to top. And that's what I always say, go to bitcoin.org, start reading it first. And someone asked for a book. My best book I can suggest, not for risk managing of the crypto, it's actual crypto, is the Bitcoin Standard by Safety Namus. So take a look at that book. And I'm not sure, Jay, if you agree with that. Look at those are the things which you guys fundamentally have to understand. After that, if you want to invest, just invest by understanding where and how. And always remember, Jay's here has a vast knowledge on this. Diversify whatever you guys are doing, and make sure you're checking with your assets, or whoever is in control of your asset, to make sure you guys are in the right pockets, because technology has changed for the last 10, 20 years. But guess what? With the AI and the new ways of changes, I believe now it's going to be your duty to make sure your assets and your investments are protected and take a look at them probably every quarter instead of every year, every 3 years. So you have to be more advanced by understanding the fundamentals than just basically going with the news and then buying what other people are buying and selling.
Yes. So unfortunately, with this, there's going to be a tremendous tidal wave and a cleansing going on in this ecosystem. So let's talk about it from a business. So someone asked, I think what you asked is, would you invest in the companies that are building on the blockchains, or would you invest in the actual blockchains? The only place that I would invest right now this is me personally, I'm not giving anyone investment advice, but I said this before. The only digital asset that I have any certainty will be around in 20, 30, 40, or 50 years is Bitcoin. I have no certainty on any of the other ones right now. Ethereum sure looks and feels and smells, but I don't know. And there are plenty of companies like Netscape that were the entire internet and they disappeared. So having said all this, what I would say is that from a business standpoint, the way that there were internet companies and then every company became the internet infiltrated every company. It will be the same thing with blockchain. There will be blockchain companies. Sure, there still will be blockchain companies in the future, but every company will be a blockchain company. It will integrate blockchain into its business somehow, some way. So what does that all mean? If you're a developer, if you're looking to start up a business right now, this area is a unbelievable area. It's boom bust, and finding market fit and getting a business that has traction. You have just as easy or just as hard a time as anyone else in the world. But the thing is, the opportunity is the same for anyone in the world, because we're now operating on a global ecosystem because of the internet. Having said that, the competition is fierce, but we are so early. So to what Soren said, really learning and becoming an expert in this area is a tremendous advantage, because I will tell you that 99% of the people I speak to don't understand Bitcoin. Forget about all the other blockchains. They don't understand what's going on in the ecosystem. So, and this is globally, I believe. So I think you all have a tremendous opportunity to be building. And like any other business, it's just all execution, right? The opportunities are there, and who even knows what's going to be built? I don't even think we have an iota of an understanding of what the future is going to look like and how blockchain is going to influence the world. So what my hope is that Boris will come back to me, or Soren will come back to me in a year from now and tell me that one of you did something amazing. And that's why I started every single presentation I do. I always start with this, because it is totally, any one of you today can develop something spectacular. And if you have that entrepreneurial drive, go for it. And it's all about execution, though. The ideas are a dime a dozen. So I wish you all luck. I really appreciate you inviting me, Boris. It's always been a pleasure spending time with you and getting to know you. And
better with drinks around, but we'll have to wait again for the drinks.
By the way, I love Latin America. I think continent is amazing. So I wish you all luck. I wish you all well. If I can be of help to anybody, I sent you, my address is here. Boris knows how to get in touch with me. It's investor relations.
Put the other slide so I can. It's really nice, so I can put it in my Instagram. The one that has the history. The two ones behind. Two slides behind this one. The other one, the one you just passed. This one's very good. I think this one is the one that shows what really, like, a little bit, that's what's gonna happen, right? That trend that is happening now, that the Bitcoin is being institutionalized. You know, it's becoming mainstream. The people the banks and everything are like accepting it.
Let me. I could talk about this for hours, guys. Listen, the bottom line is that all of these companies are trying to defend their monopolies. all these banks, all these financial institutions, all the intermediaries, it's all going to be disrupted, but it's going to be a battle because they make so much profit there. Like if you're MasterCard or Visa, why do you want to give up your 50 basis points to $1.50 for settlement? I say just plug into the Bitcoin network, stop fighting and figure out a different way, because that's what's going to happen anyway. Unfortunately, they're going to have to get rid of a quarter of their workforce that deals with the administration of that, but figure out a different way how to profit, right? You're already charging massive interest rates on the credit cards, but there's other ways to profit, but they have to innovate. So it's just like the EV market, right? The exact same thing is going to happen. Look at Tesla. Everyone said for 10 years, electric cars, oh, it's shit, you can't do it. Oh, it's so easy, it's stupid. And then they all said, oh, it'll be easy to make them. And now they're all trying to do it, and they're all having tremendous difficulty making them, right? They just thought they were going to be able to plop the engine out and put the electrical, and you're going to see major car companies go out of business, in my opinion. You're going to see major banks have significant problems because the world's changing, but that's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's just like the internet. It's the same exact thing is going to happen. And what's really great about this is that it's the truth, right? Like the blockchain is the truth.
Yep.
So we're getting to I heard someone say this the other day, and I really thought it was very, very interesting. And maybe this is a good last parting point, or maybe you guys will think I'm crazy. But there was a point in time, however many hundreds of years ago, where whoever won the war wrote our history, right? And so we think we know what history was based on the winners of the wars, right? And then we came to a point in time where, we have other ideas about history, and we have different points of view, and now we have different opinions about things. And so now history is our opinion of things. But moving forward, the blockchain will be the facts. And we won't have to argue about facts anymore. We can have our opinions of what the facts mean, but no longer will there be a discrepancy. And it's hard to actually say how important all of this is to our future, And so I'm just so incredibly bullish on what's going on, but it is so very, very early in what's going on. And we're in a real battle phase right now, because these traditional financial companies, and this is one area of disruption. There are many areas of disruption. And in every one of the areas of disruption, there are embedded players who do not want to give up their profits, and they're going to be disrupted. But financial services and the financial intermediaries and the banking is really the one area where the internet really did not disrupt. It gave people access to information on the front end, but on the back end, the legacy systems are 30, 40, 50 years old. And so all that's going to be disrupted. And we have a major problem in the world where half of the globe, at a minimum, if not more, are not banked, or they're in regimes somehow, some way where their money just keeps becoming worthless. I think it was
like Argentina.
Yeah, like Argentina. Just something happened. Didn't something recently happen there, and there was some sort of big financial blow up?
Well, Argentina right now has a control. You cannot get dollars. It has a exchange control. So they cannot get any dollars, or and every 5 years or 10 years the currency goes to shit, and then they got no money.
I think it's every year. The inflation is like so high. It's they're devaluing it by every year by 20% or more.
It's insane. I don't know how these people survive, man.
Yeah, it's hard. It's horribly unfair, quite frankly. But then we have all these people around the world who don't even have access to a banking system, no less, that their countries are being.
Why are we going too far? I just mentioned that in Panama, out of 4 million people, 700,000 indigenous people have never had a bank, ever.
But so they don't need it. But you have to. Soren, I know you guys are like in the progress and everything, but if you can fish and grow your things and be happy, and you don't need the bank. You don't even need the money, okay?
True, but that is the older generation. Their kids are growing. Their kids are looking at everything else and the movement of the world. Their kids are looking at the social media, and they see the unjust which is happening all around the world. That's why I don't think as us, me and you or Jay, as changers right now, we're trying to do our best, so our kids or are their kids going to be living in a better life for the future. So when I look at the Panama, when 30-40% of the country is unbanked, not even underbanked. So figure out the rest of the countries, and this battle is going to keep going. Jay, you mentioned transparency and the blockchain. That is the only truth everyone has to look and everybody has to get expert on. So no more fights, no more legal battles, no more discrepancies. It's just like everything is clear. Do you want to confirm something? Even identity, it all can be done through blockchain. So
yeah, we're gonna have. Listen, Boris, I wish that we were in a world where we could all fish and hunt and live and not have to bank. But having said that, I do think that it will be a tremendous. It will lead to a very prosperous existence, and certainly for someone who wants to have any sort of financial prosperity, if they're unbanked, they have zero chance. You know, so people are going to opt out, and people are going to be able to be banked if they have a digital phone. They'll be able to do it. And I'm seeing in Africa where even people who have phones that can just text are able to utilize the digital asset ecosystem. So the whole thing, it's going to take a little bit of time, and it's going to be spurts and crashes and spurts and crashes. And then I think there's going to be just one period of time when there's going to be a huge leg up. I personally am not of the belief that the US dollar is going to disappear anytime soon. And but that doesn't mean that there can't be other global currencies that don't emerge. And is that Bitcoin? Is that something else? I really think it's irrelevant, because I just think that the ecosystem in and of itself is growing so astronomically that that's like the ultimate edge case, and it pisses people off when they think about that. Then you're fighting with governments, you know, who you know, fiat currencies, and eventually it's all going to work itself out, because globally people don't want to live in regimes where they have all of their money stolen from them, you know, every few years or every 10 years or every 50 years. So this is all going to work itself out because of we the people, right? So eventually this is where we'll get to. So
we're gonna have we can have like a 100-hour discussion, my friends.
Yes.
yeah, next time hopefully.
Can I just say one thing as we're walking out the door? I
you
just want to say thank you for inviting me, and thank you for having me. And I'm always a resource. And I wish you all the best of luck. And you know, you could do whatever you put your heart, your mind, and your time into. And so I wish you all luck. And I hope one day I'm calling one of you, asking one of you to invest in one of my funds, because you've been so unbelievably successful. And you don't take my phone call because you're so successful that everybody's calling you. And when Boris will then call you and say, hey, remember with Jay? And then you'll take my phone call. So I wish you all unbelievable success. And
thanks,
I can't wait to hear what
thanks for
happens.
helping us. Thanks for helping us understand this.
Good luck, everyone.
And,
Yes,
and
good luck.
the best thing, like I was saying before to Soren, and I repeated with Jay, that we will look for people who can really translate these complicated matters to all of us who are not financial, maybe whizzes or experts, but we are entrepreneurs and we want to understand all these new technologies. In my case, for example, I had to go like to 3 different conferences until I understood what was blockchain. And Soren has explained it in like 5 different conferences that I've gone to. So I'm really glad that you guys explain it in a way that most of us could understand. And
I think
and this video will be on
the
YouTube, so people can check it out and getting more information. Always educate ourselves so we can be better entrepreneurs.
We are entrepreneurs, as you mentioned, and then for entrepreneurs, I believe, at least in my opinion, we are storytellers. And if we are doing, if we can translate whatever we know through the story for the rest of the world, everybody will be prosper. Thank you so much again for having me, and then have a blessed day, all of you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Boris. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody.
Thank you, guys. I hope I see you in person soon. And Jay owes me a hat, an orange hat. I'm gonna send him. Jay has the best branding.
I'll send you an orange hat. Huh?
I'm not gonna complain about Soren's branding, but Jay's branding and his gifts are beautiful.
Nice. Nice.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully you'll be
All
at the
right.
Volcano Summit, and there'll be plenty of orange
I will
hats.
try. I will
All
try to make it.
All right. Be well, everybody.
Okay.
Have a wonderful
Right.
evening.
Yeah, okay, guys. So just to close up, ya podemos hablar en español. Well, I don't know if Ute is around. I think she's the only one left that only speaks English, but we're gonna have some. Obviously, we're keeping on the subject of being in the technology. So we will have let's have something about this is the third time we're going to talk about inteligencia artificial. We're looking at its applications, and we need to be like on top of this for every aspect of our businesses, because it's like what we need to know right now. So we're going to talk about digital marketing inteligencia artificial. We need to talk a lot about structuring our businesses. We need to talk about apps that help us make decisions. So we need to know about apps about automatization and inteligencia de negocio, business intelligence. And also we need to know a lot about illegal stuff and whatever. So we're going to be talking about that. And then just to say goodbye, again, I want to thank all of you for being here and staying till late, hearing these genius guys talk about what they're passionate about, like we are passionate about entrepreneurship. To all of you, to our volunteers that help us all the time, to the speakers, to our sponsors, NUAGE. I hope we can help them a lot to integrate them into the Panama market, and also other Latin guys that are here in our conference. Redline, Soren, Publimóvil, Pedro, I think is still around, Global Internet, and our friend Jonathan with Finanza y Riqueza. And see you later, my